Welcome to 2Rich2Miss Unscripted. It is Friday and the market is red and on sale, and it's a beautiful thing. What's going on out there to everybody? It is your Southern Urban voice, Mr. 2Rich, coming to you live off of the East Coast in Virginia, right here in the United States. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to be talking about, as you saw in the title, CBDCs are on the way, and Bitcoin is going to be some great things going on. Yes, 15x. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be talking about today, obviously going to go over the market. We're going to talk about DeFi. We're going to be going through and telling you why I believe the CBDCs are going to be floating on around our way into the United States sooner than we may think. And of course, last but not least, we'll be talking about why I do agree with this particular fund manager that says Bitcoin is going to likely grow 15 to 20x in the next 15 months. Absolutely. DCA is the way, not financial advice. Just giving my opinion and just saying that I agree with this man that's a fund manager that manages money for a living. And yeah, absolutely. All right, and in the midst of that, as always, be sure to check out the Bitcoin Vegan. He has a great course introducing you about Bitcoin and getting you into the basics of this market so that you can kind of know what's going on and really get your feet wet, right? Great guy, wonderful story, good human being, and some solid information. All right, and as always, don't forget to follow me over at 2Rich2Miss. We got videos coming out over here on YouTube every day this week, and we're going to kind of keep it going for you Monday through Friday. Crypto news that you can use with some tools and tips and a great solid perspective so that you can be able to make the right decision and increase the most important thing that matters in your life, your portfolio and your value and you. The only real color that matters is green. Let's get it. Welcome to 2Rich2Miss Unscripted with your host, the Southern Urban voice, Mr. 2Rich. And this show is about providing you with cryptocurrency and digital asset news, education, and tips that you can use as you take this wild and exciting journey into crypto. And as always, remember, the only real color that matters is green. Let's get it. Black business shout outs from the 2Rich2Miss Unscripted YouTube show. The title of this book should not suggest any ill will toward meetings. Meetings are very important to any organization. Meetings are ideal for gathering information, delivering information, and promoting team efforts. Meetings can become unproductive and to some, a complete waste of time. The purpose of this book is to encourage leaders to put more effort and thought into the structure of their meetings and help you meet with a purpose. Meetings on top of meetings on top of meetings. Leadership strategies to help you meet with a purpose. Available now on Amazon.com and AdrianFScott.com. Black business shout outs from the 2Rich2Miss Unscripted YouTube show. Get the book Meetings on Top of Meetings on Top of Meetings, www.adrianfscott.com. Support of black businesses that we have on the Black Business Shout Out. All of us are out here doing what we got to do to make it work out here. And these are solid people with solid products that you definitely should check out. All right, let's get right into the market here. Looking at the heat map, it is red all around with a little few spots of green. Red is not a bad thing. I want you to always understand when DCA is the way and you're DCAing or dollar cost averaging your way into the market, when the market is red like this, you go through, take a step back, look at the fundamentals of the projects that you're investing in, do a little extra DYOR, do your own research, dig in a little bit more, make sure the projects that you're invested in truly are solid projects, make sure that things haven't changed overall, and if things haven't changed overall, then hey, you buy the dip. Because this is when you make your money. You make your money when you buy. You realize that money when you sell, all right? And, then, of course, you got Link is in the green today. And you remember we just talked about Link in one of our other episodes a few days ago. I think Link is going to come alive, and we'll obviously be talking about the big boy Bitcoin here in today's episode as well. Let's pop over to DeFi. My wonderful little DeFi market here that I do like. I enjoy DeFi. And I definitely think there's going to be a lot more that we're going to be able to see and get from DeFi as time goes on. I like the DeFi market, and I don't talk about it, because not investment advice, but I do play around in the DeFi space. Now, let's kind of go through, and speaking of decentralized finance and finance in general, I want to kind of go on and get over into our topics for today. Now, the first thing that we go through and talk about, and this kind of goes through what the title of all of this leads into, the title and the theme of this particular episode. And we're talking about central bank digital CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. All right, and I think, or here in the United States, they're going to call it the digital dollar. Right now, a lot of people barely understand Bitcoin. And when they push this digital dollar out, a lot of people are going to really misinterpret it and think that it is Bitcoin. And I have this first article up here on the screen to kind of reiterate my point that the digital dollar is going to be sooner than later. And how I've previously said in previous videos, that this digital dollar is not going to be a good thing for us. And the only counterattack is to make sure that you educate yourself in this cryptocurrency space and not only learn Bitcoin, but also learn all of the other currencies that are here in this particular space and what their purpose is and how they can be used. And Monero, for example, is something you should definitely investigate and do DYOR, not for the sake of an investment into, but for the sake of use. And once again, not investment advice, but DYOR, do your own research. There's a whole space over here that can be used, and you have to educate yourself, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that I definitely put Bitcoin Vegans course right there at the top of the pile as well, in the midst of all of this, because as you're listening to my channel, I may not cover every specific thing, although I am going to start doing more educational segments and different educational videos as well, just for us older people who's going to get into this space and want to get in here and really move around, because I'm okay over here. And you don't have to come over here. I'm not begging nobody to come over here. I'm just letting you know what's happening. And if you do so happen to come over here, there's some money over here to be made. morally and legitly, and I'm not talking about doing no rug pulls or nothing else. There's money over here. But in the midst of this all, let me go through and talk about what we have here on the screen. And I want to make my point here. This article, Trump's National Security Council sees DLT, distributed ledger technology, as critical weapon in U.S.-China tech war. All right. Now, U.S. and China in a tech war, right? We can all kind of go. There's a bunch of different ways we can go with that. But that's not what I want to talk about. Now, the National Security Council sees this as an issue, right? Which goes to my first point. The National Security Council sees this as an issue. They attempt to get in Trump's ear. Either way you want to call it, let's say, hypothetically speaking, that Trump actually listens to these people, right? And let's say that, whatever happens, right? And they're actually motivated, right? Because we know he does not like China. Now, how does all that relate to the digital dollar, and why does all of this relate to what I've been saying thus far? China. Let's see what China's doing. China is already test driving the future of finance while the rest of the world is stuck trying to get its learner's permit. What's happening? Over the past 2 weeks, Chinese authorities in cities like Shenzhen and Chengdu have given out the country's brand new digital renminbi currency and are urging even faster rollout of the token nationwide. The country's central bank has distributed the currency to quote-unquote lottery winners who are reportedly spending it at thousands of retailers, including local supermarkets and pharmacies and even Walmart. Now, why is that important and related to this? Trump, with his ego, does not want to be too far behind them. But that's just not the only thing. They've already been talking about the digital dollar over here, and now they got the central banks over here talking about doing whatever they're going to be doing. And meanwhile, we got Russia. The Bank of Russia eyes testing of digital ruble in 2021. And meanwhile, we have the Bahamas looks to deploy its CBDC, the sand dollar, across borders. And then the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell to address IMF on digital currencies next week. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell will be speaking to the International Monetary Fund next week as part of its panel on the future of cross-border digital payments. The future of cross-border digital payments. The digital dollar will be coming sooner than we think, and the digital dollar is not going to be a wonderful thing for us. The extra control and the extra coverage that they are going to have with that is going to be more than what any of us can even imagine right now. And think of having somebody looking through every cash transaction that you did. Let's pause to think about that for a moment. They're really getting, this is going to be deep. And once again, and I always try to go back and refer to the Patriot Act. And let's think about the Patriot Act and think about our privacy. And think about 9/11. That came out of 9/11. Just make your own decisions. I'm just here to I want to spark your brain when I give you this information and this commentary. Now, and what does all this mean? How does all this relate to investing in the cryptocurrency, right? What does CBDCs and me telling you about them coming sooner than you think, and what does all that mean? Number one, it gets to what I've said before, and I'm just saying it again. You need to learn what's happening over here in the cryptocurrency space. It is more than Bitcoin. It's a lot more than Bitcoin, but learning Bitcoin is definitely a great place to start. Which is one of the reasons why, I said go over and check out the Bitcoin Vegan and go over and check out his course. It's a real cool course, and it'll kind of get everything going for you, right? And link in the description below as well. And for all of my business people, go through and get Adrian Scott's book, Meetings on Top of Meetings on Top of Meetings. And a great resource, especially if you got a business that's going and your business is really jumping and you got a lot happening. Now, speaking of Bitcoin will likely grow 15 to 20x in the next 15 months, according to a fund manager. Now, all of these articles are in my 2Rich2Miss Twitter feed, by the way. Definitely go through and check that out. Now, I'm going to tell you why. And I totally agree. And and before I should tell you why, I'm gonna give you the basis of my logic here and why this all makes sense. It all comes down to the numbers. There's only a limited supply of Bitcoin that's on to ever be mined. The amount of Bitcoin that's being mined was cut in half last year. Well, at the most recent halving that just happened, right? Now, that means that the amount of Bitcoin that's being produced is cut in half. So the miners are producing at the same rate, using the same amount of resources, but they're producing half as much. Meanwhile, there's been institutional investors that have been in the over-the-counter market that have been buying up the Bitcoin that has been the same Bitcoin that the exchanges have been selling to us regular retail investors. Now, and this Bitcoin is being sucked up by the boatloads. And I've talked about it, and I've talked about it, and everybody's talked about it, right? It's no secret. Companies are bragging about this now. And where it used to be taboo, it's not. Now it's almost like a badge of honor. And the thing that I often tell people that I want you to think about, these are just the institutional investors that we know about. They're not required to tell us this, especially on their balance sheets. They know what they're doing. They don't have to. The ones that don't have to disclose it are not. So I am going to tell you. And my thought, without us going through reading the article, it's a good article. I definitely encourage you to go through, hit up my Twitter, follow me on Twitter, and there's a link right there for you. You can click right and get right over here. Great article. But I'm just telling you, there's two words that's really going to make all of what I'm telling you to go through and to give us this possibility, this likelihood, if we're talking about probabilities and we're talking about numbers and we're talking about percentages. My thoughts from a percentage standpoint is that we have a very high my thoughts, I'm long Bitcoin, and I definitely, I'm with that. I'm with this here. I agree, because once supply shock kicks in, the rest of the retail investor market is going to realize there's not going to be too much left. These exchanges are going to start limiting the amount of Bitcoin that they can sell to you. And all of this is going to spread. We can see the way that the data is going to be flowing on the blockchain through chain analysis and all of that. There's going to be a supply shock. It's inevitable. more Bitcoin is being consumed than is being created. So it's spilling over into the over-the-counter desk. And once these exchanges start cutting short, the price is going to start to shoot up. So those of us who have been dollar cost averaging along the way, we're going to experience a real nice little healthy bump to the tune of 15 to 20 times. And that's just an estimate. Who knows what's going to happen with it? We don't know. Once we get into price discovery mode, I mean, oh Lord, it's going to be great to be one of these DCA type of people who've been DCAing in the market for these long periods of time. So in my thoughts, as I talk about this, as to really just wrap this whole thing up and to put a button on it, DCA is the way. Not investment advice, but I'm personally long Bitcoin, and I'm personally adjusting accordingly. Just making my own personal decisions, and I'm adjusting accordingly because I am long Bitcoin, and I believe, and I'm practicing what I preach. I'm talking about all of this, but I got my own real money out here, that I'm putting in the market, and everything is, I'm happy so far with what's been happening in crypto, and I'm just getting started. So if you're just getting started and you're following me, I thank you so much. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely check out the podcast. Download the episode, check it out. It was a great episode with Crypto Culture, Crypto Kenzie. That episode will definitely be hitting out tomorrow. It's going to be putting the final touches on it and putting it out there in the world for everybody, so it can be on all the platforms and all around with YouTube, full YouTube video, full audio on Apple Podcasts and everywhere where you get your podcasts as well. So thank you to all of the new people, and we're going to take this Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ride together, and we're going to all end up in a real happy place. Until the next time, always keep in mind, DCA is the way, and the only real color that matters is green. Peace.